Enough talk. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to The Wash, the new Seattle sports show from the worldofsportsnetwork.com. All Seattle sports, all the time. My name is Lester and I'm going to be your host, but we got a whole team of people working behind the scenes here. Because here's the deal. We're all a bunch of East Coast guys who live here now, but we're all passionate sports fans. I'm Philly, Marcoux, New York, Gurus, DC, but we live here now, and so we're following the Seattle scene, and we see the same passion that we're used to on the East Coast in the Seattle sports. We see you causing earthquakes at Seahawks games, we see you chanting in the rain for the Sounders, and we see you selling out rugby games down in Tukwila. So we get it. We share that passion, and we're in. We're in on the Seahawks, we're on the Mariners, the Storm, the Sounders, the Seawolves, the Rain, whatever they want to call the new hockey team. Go grunge. But that's not it. We're here on the Huskies, the Cougs, the Redhawks, the Eagles, the Bulldogs, the Thunderbirds, the Defiants, the Rainiers, all of it. So here's the deal. You can count on us to be homers. We're going to cover the teams, we're going to analyze the decisions, and we're going to second guess everybody. But you can count on us rooting for Seattle every time. Unless they're playing the Phillies, of course. So that's it. All your Seattle sports, all in one spot. If it happens in Seattle sports, it comes out in the wash. All right, so we got a great show for you this week. Big show. We're going to talk about the big UW Wazoo Apple Cup basketball game. We got some Mariners to talk about. We got some Sounders to talk about. We got some Seawolves to talk about. All kinds of stuff. We got your college wrap-up as well. But before we get started, I got to get a little something off my chest here. I got into it on Twitter, and if you're looking for me on Twitter, I'm at More or Lestro on Twitter every day. But I got into it this week because I saw that the Disney Sports Channel posted a thing about Russell Westbrook passing Gary Payton for the all-time Thunder Sonics franchise points leader. And I got to tell you, that bothers me a little. It bothers me because Russell Westbrook, though he was drafted by the Sonics, never played for Seattle. And I know that Clay Bennett stole and moved the team to Oklahoma City, but this is not the same team. They're not down there honoring Gary Payton and his 18,000 points. No, they don't care. They care about what Durant did there, and they care about Westbrook doing it now. They don't care about the Sonics. They care about the Thunder. It's not the same team. And I know this because I've read the agreement when they moved the team. When the team moved to Oklahoma City, Seattle got to keep the banners, the trophies, the colors, the name, all of it. You're never going to see the Thunder down there wearing green and gold. Just like you're never going to see them honor Gary Payton. Just like you're never going to see Seattle honor Russell Westbrook. When Seattle gets a new team, and we will, we get the Sonics back. And at that time, the all-time scoring leader will be Gary Payton. And Russell Westbrook will be the all-time points leader for the Thunder, not the Sonics. These are different franchises. Let's just split it and move on. Let's cut our losses and go from there. That said, just a quick tip. Let's remember, until the team comes back to Seattle, if you're buying Sonics gear, we're putting money in Clay Bennett's pocket. And as much as I would love to go out there and get myself some Sonics gear, I'm not putting any money in that bastard's pocket. He's got plenty down there in Oklahoma City, so screw that. But when the team comes back and it's all Seattle, we're all in. You can count on that. All right, let's move over to our top stories for tonight. Our top story for this one here, for the show this week, is going to be the UW win in the Apple Cup this past weekend over Wazoo. It was a tight one, 72-70. Now, this game was closer than it really should have been because UW is the better team. That said, rivalries, anything can happen. Shoot, this week we saw Duke get upset by UNC in the same sort of rivalry game. This one was tight all the way through. Wazoo actually had the lead in the first half, after the first half, but UW came back. They won it on a missed layup. Noah Dickerson, the senior, tipped in a missed layup from Jalen Noel with 25 seconds left to give the Huskies the win. He had Dickerson had 18 points, grabbed 10 rebounds for Washington. Noel added 20 points on his own. Marvin Cannon scored 25 with 8 rebounds for Washington State. And Robo Franks, the senior who is leading the Pac-12 in scoring, dropped in 16 points for the Cougs during the game. But the big finish here is that UW gets the win and continues their hot streak. Now, they dropped the game in the Pac-12 conference as we head towards the tournaments. Dropped that last week in Arizona. We talked about that last week. But getting back on track to go forward, looking to make the run into the Pac-12 tournament and make the run into the NCAA tournament. Big win over Wazoo. They are now 20-5 on the season, 11-1 in the Pac-12. They got a couple of games coming up this week. They are home against Utah, and they are home against Colorado. Now, Utah is 14-11, 8-12 in the conference. Colorado's 16-9 overall, 7-6 in the conference. These are not going to be easy games, so if you have the opportunity, get yourself out to Heck Ed and watch them. They're going to be fun games. Pac-12, always rivalries. Utah and Colorado. Actually, Utah was this week. They beat Utah this week. I believe on Wednesday night. So that we have the game coming up is against Colorado. Another win for the Huskies going forward. Looks right now, all the indications indicate going into the tournament as they sit just outside the top 25. Looks like they're probably going to be a 7 or 8 seed going into the tournament, and that is a tough spot to be in when you get into the brackets because those games can really go either way. But I like the Huskies' chances. I think everybody's sleeping on the Pac-12 because it's down this year. Everybody's sleeping on the Huskies. Keep your eye on them. I'll put them forward in my bracket just a little bit. I see them, if not going all the way, making a little noise in the big dance this year. All right, changing gears here, I want to talk a little bit about the Mariners. Because I'm a big baseball fan, and life begins again this week in Peoria. Now, assuming the rains hold out, the Mariners are going to get their spring training underway. Should be Wednesday, should be Thursday, somewhere in that range. They have games against the A's scheduled for Thursday and Friday. They have games against the San Diego Padres and Manny Machado, the big offseason signing so far for the Padres, coming up against the weekend. Things to watch here is Marco Gonzalez is going to be taking the mound for the first game for the Mariners, and he is a great season last year. He's one of the names to watch this year on the Mariners. We talked last week about how the Mariners might be processing and going for it 5 years from now instead of this year, and that this year's team might be rough. It doesn't mean there's not going to be some guys to watch. And I got to tell you, Gonzalez is one of those guys to watch. He's a lefty. Last year finished out the year at 13-9 with a 4.0 ERA in 29 starts. He's looking to improve on that in the 2019 campaign, obviously. And the question for Gonzalez that we got to watch for the whole season is, can he stay healthy? Because this is a guy that spent part of the last 5 seasons on the DL. So that's going to be the big key. Can the staff keep him going all season long? We'll get our start, see how he looks in these opening games against the A's. And don't worry, if the rains, I've heard that if the rains wash out the game, he's still going to get the pitches in so he can stay on schedule. The game after that, the second game of spring training against the A's, we get to see another player to watch this year. New Mariner, acquired from the Yankees in the big deal there, is for the Big Maple, is Justice Sheffield. Now, Justice Sheffield's a hard-throwing kid from the Yanks. He's a power pitcher, but he's got some command issues. Bounced around from the Yankees in Cleveland to find his way to Seattle. They expect him to pencil into the rotation at some point this year. We're not sure when. Should get a good look at him and see how he's doing. But spring training is the time to get a look at everybody. And I love spring training in baseball because every team is in it, man. Every team has a shot in spring training, even the Mariners. We get to see what they can put together and what they can do. I got a couple other things we need to be watching on this team this year. First, I would say is Kyle Seager. Kyle Seager had a down year last year. Started off slow, had that toe injury that took him out. But I'll tell you what, all the reports out of Peoria are is he's slimmed down and he is ready to hit again. That'll be nice because last year turned out being the worst of his career at a batting average of .221. We get his bat up around his average, he's going to make some noise again, and that'll be a helpful bat in the lineup for the Mariners. And, of course, the name to watch, the name that everybody will be watching in Mariners camp this year, is Yusei Kikuchi, the big signing from Japan for the Mariners this year. 4 years, $56 million, 27-year-old lefty, got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, just an incredible power pitcher. But not only that, has a repertoire of, like, he's got a slider, he's got a curveball, he's got a change. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws an eephus pitch at some time this year just to throw people off. Looks like the real deal. I've been watching the Mariners Twitter feed. I've been watching what they're putting out about him. I'll tell you what, he's got movement on that ball, and he's throwing the heat. He could be a fun one to watch on the Mariners season this year too. And while we're talking about Kikuchi, I think the other guy to watch, really more of the heartstrings than anything, is Ichiro Suzuki. The GOAT, the greatest baseball player of all time, in my opinion. Ichiro Suzuki, with the team to start the year, they expect him to be down with the Rainiers, signed a minor league contract. He's heading with the team to Japan to play in their opening, which is ridiculous that they've got to fly to Japan to play 2 games in Japan in March against the A's. Ichiro's going over there to play in front of the home crowd again at the Tokyo Dome. I'm hoping he makes the team. He's the kind of veteran presence that this lineup could really use. I love Ichiro. I know he's not the sort of leader that you would want on the team, in that he's not going to rally your clubhouse. He's not really that guy, but he'll lead by example, because at his age, I think he's 45, he is still ripped. He looks great, and his swing is everything it ever was. So I have high hopes that we get to see Ichiro patrolling the outfield down there at T-Mobile Park, the newly renamed T-Mobile Park. All right, so we got Mariners spring training going on right now down in Peoria. They open their season in Japan, as I said, on March 20th and March 21st against the Oakland A's. Should be good games. And then they fly back for their home opener on March 28th with a 4-game opening series against the Boston Red Sox, the world champion Boston Red Sox. Not going to be an easy start to the season, Mariners fans. But, as we said before, this is team building. Get on the bandwagon now. Plenty of seats. I'll be there opening day. You should too. It's going to be a good time. Hey, speaking of preseason, the other preseason that's going on right now is the Sounders. Sounders FC getting ready to come back from a slightly disappointing 2018 campaign, looking to start 2019 stronger. Unfortunately, has not been the best preseason for the Sounders. They are 0-4 after dropping a friendly to Nacional on Wednesday. That leaves them at 0-4 on the preseason, but they start the first 2 weeks of the season at home on March 2nd and March 9th, and they open against FC Cincinnati. This is FC Cincinnati's first game ever. They're a brand new club, an expansion team in MLS, coming to Seattle for their first game. Should be an experience for that club, and should be a win for the Sounders to at least get going the right way. This is the first full season for Rudiaz, I believe it said, as a Sounder. Was a scoring terror last year, had 13 goals in 16 matches. Hopefully he can keep up that pace, and we can expect big things from the Sounders this year. If nothing else, let's get the season started early with a win against FC Cincinnati on 3-2 and a win against the Colorado Rapids the following week, 3-9. All right, so now let's switch gears for a second and talk about one of our other top stories of the week, and that is the Seawolves. The Major League Rugby 2018 champion Seattle Seawolves. Now, this team really is making waves in the area and throughout the league as they have sold out every single home game they've played. They've sold out all of last season, and they sold out their first 2 games this year, including this past weekend where our man Marcoux was on the scene at the game. So Marcoux, welcome back to the Wash. It's good to see you again.
Great to be back. Thank you, Lester. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So you were at this game this past weekend, and I understand the Seawolves picked up a win.
Yeah, it was a really exciting game. Great environment once again. And like you mentioned, another sellout. Keeps up that sellout streak at home, so that's fun. But just a great game overall, and really big win for the Seawolves after losing the last 2 games on the road.
It's a 35-30 win over the Toronto Arrows.
Yeah.
They opened the season with a win against Glendale, which they beat for the championship last year. Went on the road for 2 games, dropped 2 games, come back home, get a little bit of that home cooking, a little bit of that incredibly loud Seattle crowd, which is at Starfire, incredibly loud, just like everywhere else. Pick up a win. How was the game?
Game was great. So, like you said, they played the Toronto Arrows. It's the Toronto Arrows' first season in the MLR. Their expansion team from Toronto, the only Canadian professional team that's in the MLR right now. A great game. Before I jump into the game, let me give you a quick spiel about rugby and a little bit of the rules.
Right, because this is a new sport for all of us.
Right, a lot of Americans don't know a lot about the rugby rules, so I just want to make sure you guys got a little background knowledge for that. So, rugby has 2 halves. It's an 80-minute game in total, 2 40-minute halves. They have 2 different ways to score, and then one's sort of like a touchdown where if you convert on the whole entire play, it's 7 points. What they have is a 5-point try, and then you convert a 2-point extra kick. And then there's another way to score, which is a 3 points on a kick, and that's a penalty kick. There are obviously no forward passes in rugby.
So a little bit like football when it's played, except there are no forward passes. So the ball is always lateral back to somebody else who's open, who tries to run forward. If they can't get through, they lateral it back. If they're stopped.
Exactly. If they're stopped, what they do is they drop down on the tackle and they pass it back. They feed it back to one of their teammates. If they can't feed it back to them or they fumble it, then there's a turnover and possession switches over. So it's a really exciting game. I definitely recommend going down to Starfire and checking out
if
the
you
rugby
can get
scene.
tickets.
Yeah, if you get tickets, it's always a sold-out game. Every time I see the sellout notification on Twitter, I jump at one of the first individual tickets that are out there. But they do have standing room tickets always available. They have so far, and those are $20, $30 day of game. So definitely get them ahead of time. But yeah, man, that game last week was crazy. It was a fun game. First half was wild.
They fell behind in the first half, right? This was a comeback for the Wolves.
So the first half was frustrating because Toronto kept on scoring, and we had to play catch up the whole time. And we ended the first half 17-17, but we never had the lead. So every time they scored, we always evened it up. So that was good to see the bounce back, but it was frustrating not to get the lead. Second half, they jumped out to a 13-0 run and took a 30-17 lead. And that was, no one in the building panicked, though, man. It was loud as it could be. No one walked out. It was great to see that kind of environment. But they needed a good comeback. They got back-to-back tries, which was great. Missed the kick on the second try, so they were still behind. But they got back-to-back kicks and took the lead and shut them out after they went 13-0 to start the second half. So that was great to see from the defense. Defense really needed that because the week before they gave up 41 points to
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah, and they're a great team who recently lost to New Orleans lost to the New York rugby team that we're playing this weekend. So that's going to be fun to be part of and see how that all clashes out.
So this week the Seattle Seawolves actually earned the MLR Team of the Week designation for their win over the Arrows and their comeback win over the Arrows. Now they got another match coming up. This is another home game, right?
So it's another home game, and like I mentioned, they're playing RUNY. Rugby United New York. They're a new team as well. They're also an expansion team. So it's going to be another home game against another expansion team. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going, get above 500 on the season. Last year we only lost 2 games all season, and that was to Glendale.
Both of them to Glendale,
who went undefeated. And Glendale's having a tough start to the season this year. So it's just interesting how the MLR is playing out and how it's all shaken up. The level of competition's getting better. So it's fun to see rugby become such a big thing in Seattle.
And once again, get on the bandwagon here on this one. Marcuse, you can follow him at Seattle's Sports. That's Seattle S Sports on Twitter. He was actually down at the game, live tweeting from it, doing some recaps. I assume he'll be doing the same thing at this game this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be back this Sunday covering that game. Hopefully it'll be great weather like we had last week and another sellout.
If nothing else, follow Marcoux. You can get some of the excitement on the Twitter and see what's going on. I got to get down to one of these games myself, Marcoux. I haven't been to one of them yet.
They're fun, man.
Looks like a good time. All right, so listen, while we have you here, you're not only our rugby guy. Yes. Marcoux actually is one of our our college basketball aficionados here at the Wash spends a lot of time following the Washington teams on the college basketball. So let's do a little college roundup. I want to start with the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Okay.
They seem to be taking care of business again. Things going well for them. 2 more wins this week, right?
Yeah, and Duke lost tonight against UNC. So
that's what I want to talk about. Now, Duke losing to UNC frees up that first spot again. Now, we know Gonzaga's already beat them once this year.
Yep.
Is this Gonzaga's opportunity to claim the top spot?
I think Gonzaga gets the number 1 spot this upcoming week. But, like you said earlier, they're taking care of business in their conference. And that's also a little bit scary because they tend to get complacent with the level of competition that they're going against right now.
Right.
Duke lost against a really good UNC team.
That's exactly it. Duke's playing UNC. We got Gonzaga playing the University of San Diego. It's not really the same caliber, and they say that strength of schedule actually is one of the things that is hurting Gonzaga sort of in the national picture going forward into the tournament. Vegas odds have them at 5th to win. Does that sound right to you?
It sounds right because they have a great veteran squad, and their non-conference schedule is very strong. They won the Maui Invitational. They make sure that their non-conference schedule is strong because they do understand that they get the pressure of their conference and how weak it is. But this last week they needed a good second half push to beat the University of San Diego. So it's not like they're playing terrible level of competition. But yeah, when you're got the East Coast bias out there and they're playing all those East Coast teams. In University of Buffalo's and top 25 and UW's not, it just kind of...
Yeah, that seems ridiculous to me.
It's just a combination of a lot of things.
So that's the Gonzaga men's team still rolling on. Should be the number 1 team in the country by the time you hear this podcast.
Yeah.
And so that is great to see. The Bulldogs back on top. How are the Lady Bulldogs doing?
Ladies slipped last week. They lost again. They got swept by BYU this season. Lost again by 2 this past week at home this time in front of a sellout. So really tough for the Lady Zags to go down that way, but they're still having a strong season. They're 15 in the country still, so they're hoping
should make the tournament.
They should definitely make the
still
tournament.
Make a run.
Yeah, definitely make a good run. It's just frustrating to lose to the Cougars like that, especially when you wanted to get that revenge after losing by 2 last time. But they're still a good team, so hopefully they make a good run in the tournament. Now,
you have been talking for weeks about the Eastern Washington Eagles as well. You're real high on this team, Marku. Tell me how they did this week, and if you're still all on board for the Eagles.
I'm still very high on the Eagles because of what they've been doing with their conference lately. So they started the season terribly. They won maybe like 2 games before they played their conference, but now they're on a bit of a tear. They're 8-6 in their conference. They won their last 2 games. This past week, they had an overtime win against Northern Colorado. Then they had a big 25-point
blowout.
Blowout win against Idaho then at home. So that was good to see. So the reason why I'm hot, I like this team a lot is because they have experience of. They were in the Big Sky Championship last year. They lost to Montana, but they do have that type of experience of tournament play. So and they played a really tough non-conference schedule. They played Seattle U. University of Washington, Wazoo, all these schools that they weren't expected to beat. So that gives them some credit. You got to give them credit for that because when they rolled into their conference schedule, it was just kind of taken on their level of competition.
And they win the conference. They're in the dance, right?
Yep. They win their Big Sky. That's the only way they're going to get in.
It's the only way they get in.
They got to win the Big Sky. Any team in the Big Sky has got to win their conference. Obviously, Montana is leading their conference right now. They only have 2 conference losses, but. You never know what happens. Exactly.
Anything can happen in the tournament.
Hot at the right time.
That's right. Eagles heating up at the right time. So watch out. Eastern Washington Eagles are going to make a run for this. We could see them dancing in March as well.
That'd be fun.
All right. So you mentioned Seattle University. This has been a tough season for our Red Hawk fans.
So I just wanted to quickly bring up Seattle U because Coach Jim Hayford put up a nice tweet this past week showing that everyone's back in practice. Like there's been a lot of the injury bugs hit them pretty hard this year, which is why they've really fallen apart in conference play. But they get healthy at the right time. Every team makes their conference tournament, so they just got to get the spark at the right time. You never know.
So get out there and follow that Seattle U team as well. The fans in this town can push them, be the ones to push them over the edge.
Yeah, the women's team, unfortunately, they lost
Rough
both their games
season.
last year. They're 1-21 this season. Just not fun.
Just a rough season all the way around for the women's team there. All right, let's switch gears again and move away from basketball, because it's obviously not the only college sport, and we want to make sure we cover everybody. I want to talk a little bit about NCAA baseball. Of course, I want to talk about baseball.
We're back.
It is finally underway. So tell me a little bit about how UW has done so far this year.
All right, so the opening series this past week, UW went 1-2 against UC Irvine, and Wazoo just got swept against St. Mary's, so it went 0-4
To start the season.
Yeah, to start the season. So, but UW played a top 25 team, so that was a good way for them to play a tough team to start the season. UW went to Omaha last year, so they're expecting to work off that momentum and continue to build the program, but tough start for them, I guess, against UC. Tonight they played Northern Colorado, and they put up 26 runs. They haven't put up that many runs.
26 runs?
They haven't put up that many runs since 2003.
I'll be honest with you. I saw that score. I didn't realize it was baseball.
Yeah, exactly. So it was. I think I got it right here. It was 20. What is it? 25-8.
25-8.
Yeah, against Northern Colorado, and they're playing a series against them right now. So
great
way to open it up.
At least Northern Colorado got the 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
I guess is what we can say.
There
on
we
that
go.
one. All right, now I want to actually look way far ahead, because with the recruiting classes in, we can actually start to talk about NCAA football a little bit. Now, I know it's way too early, but it looks like both Wazoo and the Cougs are going to make some waves next year.
Yeah, so they both got great, foundation from last year. Wazoo is ranked early, way too early. Rankings have them at 12, and then University of Washington's at 17.
And UW's got a great prospect class.
UW has the top 10 recruiting class. The only thing that has them questionable is they lost their starting defense last year, and they lost two seniors. Their running back, Gasket, and they lost Jake Browning.
And Jake Browning, quarterback, obviously.
So they got to replace them, which is going to be tough. They got they have a transfer. They have a transfer coming to town for a year. The guy from Georgia. So that hopefully that'll turn the offense around, because they really struggled on offense last year.
Yeah, you can see that even in that championship game was all defense. Now, the defense carried them all the way through the season last year.
Yeah, and then Wazoo, they're just hoping to keep that strong run. They signed Mike Leach to extension, so they're hoping to keep that consistency going. They got they got a transfer from Eastern Washington. Actually, he was a two-time finalist for the Offensive Player of the Year in the FCS. So he's a
quarterback, right?
Yeah, he's a quarterback, and he's gonna be replacing Gardner Minshew, who was also a transfer, but he was from Eastern Carolina. So hopefully they get that luck going with that transfer.
Get that going as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Marcoux, thank you so much for checking in with us and keeping us up to date on all
Thanks
the college
for having me,
sports. My pleasure, man. You can catch Marcoux on Twitter at Seattle's Sports. That's Seattle S Sports. Watch for him at the Seawolves game on Sunday down there at Starfire. Marcoux, thanks a lot, man. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Hey, before we bring Guru in to talk a little bit about the Seahawks, because we know we got to talk a little bit about the Seahawks every week in this town, let's just take a moment and let you know that you can find The Wash at the World of Sports Network YouTube page. Make sure you head over there and subscribe to the World of Sports Network YouTube page. You can find all the great content from The Wash to the Trash Talk Radio, which is the other show Guru and I do, to Bets with Ben, all kinds of good stuff over there. And while you're clicking around, find your way to wosenshop.com. That's WOSN shop.com, and get yourself some of the great merchandise down there. Look for The Wash everywhere podcasts can be found as well. If you want to listen to this, we got you on the Google, we got you on the Apple, and we got on Spotify. So make sure you find The Wash podcast everywhere, because if it happens in Seattle sports, it comes out in The Wash. All right, let's turn our attention to the big dogs in this town, the Seattle Seahawks, and welcome in our man, the Guru, from Trash Talk Radio to talk a little Seahawks. Guru, buddy.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Good to see you, man. You can find Guru over on Instagram at Guru's Film Room. Guru's Film Room on Instagram is just his thoughts, and you can find him every week on Trash Talk Radio with me. So, Guru, we don't actually have a lot of news this week out of the Seahawks, but we got some rumors. It is rumor season in the
Rumorville,
NFL.
man. Rumorville now. This is the best time of the season, right?
Right? Anything can happen.
I know, right? You know what? I blame this on the NBA now. The most interesting time of the season now is the off season.
Right?
So we get to see all these projections and rumors that's going on, man.
Well, two of the big rumors that are circling around Seattle right now. The first one involves Frank Clark, who is a big name, got to re-sign, got to get him in there. But there's talk of his name coming up with Antonio Brown, who is making his way out of Pittsburgh, and hopefully out of his feelings, too, if he wants to come into this town. But, Guru, what do you think of this? Is this the kind of move that Seattle should be looking for? Would you be looking to give up a guy like Frank Clark to bring in a guy like AB?
Absolutely not. Not even in a million years. Because there's a sense of hierarchy as far as value as position in football. You know, obviously, is the quarterback.
QB.
It's the highest tier.
We're going to get to that in a minute.
The highest tier. So, and then the second tier behind that now, since the number one is the quarterback, number two is the left tackle, is to protect the highest guard. That's just what it is. You know, when you have the president, the next one is the first lady. It's just what it is, right? And number three now is the guy who gets the quarterback.
The other quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are in hierarchy-wise the number, the three most important position in football. So once you make a trade now, you have a guy that's one of the best at what he does at that position of importance, then yes, that is not a good deal. So the Seahawks won't make that because sensibility-wise, football sense-wise, it don't make sense.
Now let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here, Guru, because AB is one of the top receivers in the game.
Absolutely.
He's going to go somewhere for big money. He's going to score lots of points for them.
Absolutely.
And the receiving core has always been a little bit of a problem for Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
Not having a real sort of
Absolutely.
number one receiver to throw to. You still wouldn't make the deal.
The matter of the fact is, and I'm just throwing this out there, when was the last time you had the best receiver in football win a Super Bowl? Like, that is everything was just based on that guy. And the team won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Don't get it wrong. I love cake. I love icing. But if icing is not on the cake, I'm cool too. I'll still eat the cake.
It's like the cake.
I'll still eat the cake. That won't determine me if I'm going to eat the cake or not the icing. Now, if the icing is there, I'm like, oh, shoot. All right, this is another level. AB and receivers are the icings. I'm a cake guy. Who do you hear say, hey, man, I love ice. I'm an icing guy. Who just goes around, just give me icings, and that's cool.
Kids. Children love icing.
Exactly. And children don't win Super Bowl.
No, you make a good point, Guru, because if you look at the Patriots, the only year they had like a true number one receiver was the year they didn't win, when they had Randy Moss.
And look at this team, when the last time the Seahawks, when they win, you need a gang. Just like the Patriots, you just need a gang of guys. I always say that. You just need some guys. Some guys
that can play.
That can play and have that synergy, man.
And Frank Clark can play.
Wow, boy, could he play.
Yeah, that's a guy you hang on to.
Because like I said, there's Jimmy G's out there, man. There's Jared Goff's out there, man, in this division. There's Josh Rosen and whoever the new quarterback whatever they're doing in Arizona. Right. So you need a guy that
Kyler Murray, you think he's going to end up?
Ball.
I'll tell you what, they are in one of the toughest, if not the toughest divisions in football right now, the NFC West. You got to have a guy that's going to go after those quarterbacks. I'm with you. Don't get rid of Frank Clark. I wouldn't expect Pete to do it anyway. Pete's a defensive coach, and I expect him to hang on to a guy like Clark.
It don't make sense.
So anyway, let's switch gears and talk some of the other rumors we've heard. I want to talk about two other things here. I want to talk about the quarterback position. And the first thing I want to ask you about the quarterback position, before we get into the crazy, is that Colin Kaepernick settled his suit with the NFL. Looks like he's going to get ready to try and get back into the league. They're talking about teams where he can come in and play. They're talking Panthers. They're talking Patriots. So obviously Kaepernick is looking to be a backup somewhere, which is good because while he is an NFL caliber quarterback, He's probably not one of the top guys that's going to lead a team, but he'd be a great backup. I've always thought that he would be a great backup for Russell Wilson on this team. Is there a chance that Seattle looks towards Colin Kaepernick, or do you think that they leave him alone and let him go off somewhere else?
I mean, considering what's been going on with other rumorville, now Colin Kaepernick might really want to look at Seattle.
He might want to look at Seattle.
Like we said, they already did this before because through the midst of it, Seattle is one of the teams of interest for Collins
they interviewed him last year.
Yes, exactly. So, and it didn't go hand in hand. The team, what they were looking for, what Collins looking for, I guess, as far as agenda-wise. And I'm not talking about, what the kneeling situation.
Right. No, it was about
fit.
money and fitting on the team.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
the role.
It didn't fit. And
I got to tell you, as far as Kaepernick's protests go, this is a town that I would think would almost embrace it. If you're going to pick a town anywhere in the country that's going to get behind that, Seattle is one of those towns, so could happen. But you don't see him coming here?
No, I don't see him coming here at all. Absolutely not.
All right.
That train already sailed.
So that leads to the other quarterback question, which is the big rumor circling, obviously. And it's absolutely unfounded as near as anybody can tell. But Colin Cowherd is out there running his mouth this week, talking about how Russell Wilson is stashed up here in the Pacific Northwest, out of the way, and his wife, pop star Ciara, probably wants to be where things are hotter, like New York, where they're going to need a quarterback, and could try and lead Russell to the Giants. How likely do you see this, Guru?
Lestro, put it like this. I like the angle. I really.
It's a good take.
I love it. I love it, Colin. I know C Square. You my man, Colin. The herd. The HERD. Speaking with the GURU. I get you. But the one thing I can say about this is, when the wife speak, you you listen.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing about this take that I'm like, there might be smoke.
Something
there might be smoke because yes, Sierra, obviously Russell's wife is a star,
pop star.
She grew up in a different limelight, a different stardom in a young age. So that is basically majority of her life. She did something different. Russell now earned his way into stardomship in a sense, but he was not as global as his wife. So I could see in a sense where that could happen, Brady, Giselle. I could see that similarities, and at the end of the day, it could see some traction because Russell's already did his obligation to the city. He gave us what we wanted.
He got a championship.
He got a championship. Went back there.
He'll never have to buy a drink in this town again.
Exactly, and especially, but at the end of the day, the one key thing I'm worried about is, his biggest endorsement deal I see is Alaskan Airlines.
It's true.
That's
a local.
That's Alaskan Airlines.
Yeah.
So I don't even see Boeing. I don't even see, Google,
Yeah.
But Starbucks. But at the end of the day, he's looking for, if that's the case with if that's what they're saying, New York obviously makes great sense. That's why I said this story sounds good, but it won't happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with you. This story sounds good, but when you start to look at it a little bit deeper, it kind of falls apart. I think that as far as pop stars go, New York's not where you want to be. L.A. is probably where you want to be if you're going to be a pop star. And I'll tell you, the flight from Seattle to L.A. is a lot easier than the flight from New York to L.A. On top of that, you can bet the Seahawks are going to back a truck up to Russell Wilson and just say, sign the check, fill in whatever number you want. They're going to make him one of, if not the highest paid players. And if he even thinks about it, they're going to franchise him, right?
And I like to give indicators. So this is a rumorville, but what we see, the draft and decision makings is true indicators. So we're going to see if this is any substance to this by what they do in the draft.
Draft coming up. We're going to have Guru back to talk about those draft picks, what the Seahawks need, who they're looking for, where they're going to go in the future. We're going to have him back to talk about the UW draft class heading out there too. Talk everything football. Guru, thanks for joining us here on The Wash. You can catch Guru, like I said, on Instagram at Guru's Film Room, just his thoughts, and every week with me on Trash Talk Radio, everywhere there's podcasts, and back there on the World of Sports Network YouTube page. Guru, thank you, sir.
Hey, man, just want to say that guy, that Marku guy, he's like Waldo, right? Where's
does
Marku?
everything.
He's everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Everywhere in Seattle, I hear about that Marku. Jeez.
I'll tell you what, Seattle S Sports, you can find him there. All right, we are just about out of time on the show this week. I want to mention one thing here, though. We have a little bit of cool news that I want to talk about. The NBA All-Star Game was this past weekend down in Charlotte, and the coaches for the All-Star Game this year were Dawn Staley for the celebrity game at the All-Star Game. Were Dawn Staley's Gamecocks head coach, South Carolina Gamecocks women's coach, and U.S. women's national team head coach, and Seattle's very own Sue Bird, Storm legend and the GOAT. Sue Bird was down there coaching the away celebrity team at the NBA. Now, Sue's team lost 82-80, but I guess that's to be expected when you consider that Sue is actually probably going to play for Dawn Staley as the national team. So maybe after she retires and gets out there, we'll have a better shot at this. But congrats to Sue Bird, and great job down there on the celebrity team. We look forward to seeing you again with the Storm going after another title. And that's it. That's our time on the Wash this week. We want to thank you all for joining us. Once again, look for us everywhere you can find podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, and head over to the World of Sports Network page. Make sure you subscribe to all the great content there, from TTR to The Wash to Bets with Ben. Check it out. Until next time, if it happens at Seattle Sports, it comes out in The Wash. I'm Lestro for Marku for Guru. Thanks a lot. Go Seattle.